All right, so welcome everyone to the third program here at the Eastside Freedom Library in partnership with the Lower Phalen Creek Project, working to add value and concern and knowledge to the Minnesota Humanities Center's exhibit, Why Treaties Matter. We have one more event coming up, and that will be on the last Sunday of April. And we're going to focus on issues of education. What could we do to educate our communities more about the issues that we see not only in the exhibit, but in relationship to the exhibit. So we had a series of presentations the first week with participants from the local native dance groups and drumming group, and we heard from Chris Montanunta on the history of genocide here in Minnesota. And then 2 weeks ago we heard from a group of native youth ranging from high school juniors to college sophomores, talking in relationship to Barry Hand about what the issues in this exhibit mean to them. I think we were all amazed at how well informed and how well spoken in a public setting they were. And one of the things that's very important to us here at the Eastside Freedom Library is to try to create a space where people from different communities will share their stories with each other. And we thought that this exhibit gives us a great opportunity to talk about similarities in the experiences of immigrants and refugees who have come here really over the last 150 years, and the native people whose land this was. We're on land that was Dakota land until they were driven out in the 19th century, and how the experiences of immigrants and refugees on the one hand and Native Americans on the other might engage similar issues, and what we can learn by exploring those similarities. So we have a great panel today. I've asked them to think about and talk about the role that the relationship to land has had in how their communities came to be pushed out of where they were and have found their ways here or to wherever they have landed. And so we have, I'm going to introduce people going this way. So we have Kevin Smokey Day, who's from the Cree community. No. Ojibwe. Oh, okay, we're going to blame Maggie for that. All right. So Kevin, who's Ojibwe, I'm sorry. Neil McKay, who is Dakota from Spirit Lake. We have Muhammad Bulhan, who is from the local Somali community. We have Bonsa Kamal, who's from the local Oromo community. And Grace Smith, who hails from Alaska, right, from the Yupik people in Alaska. So we have quite a range of experiences represented here, and I'm sure in the audience as well. So I know that I was able to get Muhammad to come, but he's a student and a worker, and he has very little time. So I asked Muhammad if he would go first so that he can leave when he needs to. So, Muhammad, please.
Thank you, Peter.
Can you all hear okay? We don't need to use the microphone.
I have a low voice, so don't
okay.
worry about it.
Your chest pulse.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Muhammad Bulhan. I'm a student at Metro State. I did my internship here with Peter, and it was very exciting. I'm very happy to be part of this today. I'm also an immigrant from Somalia. I grew up in Kenya. I'm only here for 5 years, and now I'm aspiring to be a U.S. citizen in the age of Trump. I hope you can imagine that. I just want to talk about land and how Somalis relate to land and how it has been part of the conflict for centuries in Somalia. Land is everything for Somalis because most of the Somalis were nomads who rear or who keep animals. So there are a lot of tribal lands in Somalia that different tribes, they have, you know, their own area that they live there and they keep their animals there. So there are also boundaries that every tribe knows that this land belongs to them. Also, we have farmers and agriculture, which people grow different types of seeds and food there. So land was part of the conflict because, especially on the nomads, when there is a drought, there's also a scarcity of water, and so tribes had to cross from one territory of land to another in search of resources for their animals, or also families when there's drought, because they rely on water and grass, which doesn't last, from a rain period to another. From rain season to another. So the locals, they have their own way of dealing with conflicts that arise from land issues. What made it worse was when the government intervened, and for one reason or another, they empowered some tribes over others, and that really exacerbated the conflict. And the conflict that started from the nomads who live in the bush, or who are not in the cities, really spilled over to the whole country. It was a really major part of the conflict there in Somalia. Land was what caused not everything, but most of the problems relating to wars and conflict. So the conception of land ownership in the minds of the Somalis is like the land does not belong to one person, but it belongs to the whole tribe. So the whole tribe has to defend the land or be advocates of the land. So that's the conception of land in Somalia. And many people were pushed out of their land or where they live. Example of that, we owned land in Somalia, but when the conflict took place, other people, they took the land. So it's still a part of the problem. And if I go back now, I cannot claim back that land. If I do that, I'm going to run into conflict. That's why I'm here. So coming here 5 years ago, I didn't understand the American history, especially the natives and their relationship with the land. So when I have seen like the struggle they're going through, I kind of reflected back my experience in Somalia and the land issue in Somalia. Also, where I grew up in Kenya, there was post-election violence, I think in 2007, which was mainly driven by land issues. As different tribes in Kenya fought over land, but thanks to God, they made a peace, and Kenya is now on the right track. They set up commissions which dealt with land, because politicians grabbed land in Kenya, and that really was part of the conflict in Kenya. And the commission, they made recommendations. So I'm reflecting this was like, back in Somalia there was land issues. That's where I come from. I came to Kenya, and really the land problem was still there. I'm now in the United States, and the natives are fighting, to get their rights and take ownership of their land. So it seems to me that the land problem is everywhere that I go, land problem is there. So it's haunting me. That's how I would put it. So that's in brief how I have experienced land issues from Somalia to the United States. And now I feel the struggle they're going through, and I understand what they want to achieve, as I have been through in a similar experience. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hamatakepi. On peti kinde wasne chante washte na pechiuza pelo. Mie dakodia chante maza ish machtia chanduhuba. Demie. Pero wakantua oyate hechia down hina tu mini wakan. Oyanke hechia omawapi. Atewe heish Dakota. Heno inawe chachatu hechia cheinkwa hechia omawapi. No mie videota otue hechia ichach mayapi. Naku makoche kide tewaki khimano. Naku apetu kinde otana wohada kikte. He wichoch amitawa. Naku apetu kinde kawachi wahada kikte do. Ichish no dohano Dakoti wohada kacha. Mitaki ete namaki khutbido. Naku Dakota ekta Dakoti apiki he makoche kided a ikoyakedo. Hohechetudo. Naku washichu ekta wichoye washteshte umpi. Ka wichoye henano Dechidi beduktan, wichoye hena washichuki hena wichoye ubi hena duktekted hena dayan ukachne gabshni. So I say, hello my relatives. I greet each and every one of you with a good heart and a handshake. I am Chante Maza or Machpia Chanduhupa. I am Bidwakantuan Dakota. My dad, I'm a citizen of the Spirit Lake Nation in North Dakota. My dad is Dakota. He is also from Spirit Lake. And my mother is Ojibwe. She is a citizen of the Turtle Mountain Ojibwe. So I'm both. I get all the good jokes. But I was raised in Minneapolis. And I'm here today to tell you some things, to speak my mind, and also tell you the truth. And in Dakota, in the Dakota way, our language is directly tied to this land. And so that's one perspective on land. Also, it is our experience and our observation that Euro-Americans use a lot of nice words, but from our perspective, we don't think that they understand them all. Because they use a lot of flowery language. They say a lot of nice things, and they don't follow through, or they decide to change things. And so as a Dakota man and an educator, so mia wanade wanita ota Minnesota wants to akante hecha tawani wanita ota hecha oshkana ku Dakota piki he uspe with chawaki naku ikchewe chaste hana waya kapi uspe with chawaki naku ta ota wabde sikte ta ku ota uspe makie naku wonspe kwaki hana ta ku ota uspe makiapi So I've been teaching at the University of Minnesota for many years now. And I have observed many things, and my students have taught me much. And a few of those things. One is Euro-Americans, or white people. Euro-Americans actually know more misconceptions and stereotypes about us than the facts. That has to change, okay? And me saying that has to change, you can go back through time and hear people say, people saying that through time. That has to change, and it's not changing. It's kind of going the other way, especially with alternative facts. You know, like in post-truth era. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I will tell you, one of the greatest insults in Dakota is if you tell somebody, that means you lied. That tells you how high we value truth, okay, and still do. Or you're trying to deceive me. And we don't have swear words, because you talk straight, you tell a person how you feel. If they're lying, you call them out, and the people take action. But going back a little bit, so the Dakota people, I always start out, but I'm sure you know whose land you're on. Right? So we are not to be referred to in the past tense. Hinach ded uyaku tigo. Hinach ded uyaku tigo. We are still here. Dakota people are still here. And actually, according to international treaty law, this is still our land. This is Dakota land. Not Dakota homeland, it is still Dakota land. We are still here. And if you are not Dakota, this is international treaty law. These are facts. This is not perspective. You are actually illegally occupying this land. Okay? Now, notice I'm not calling anybody illegals. Right? Because we are relatives. Okay? But, and there's, for me to say you are illegally occupying Dakota land, that is a truth, and that you know that, now you should be doing something about it. Okay. So learn your treaties. There's a wonderful exhibit downstairs, very wonderful exhibit. But I'll tell you that Dakota people, we haven't forgotten our treaties. The three big ones you want to look at, the Treaty of 1805, 1837, 1851. And one of the other things that I was thinking about, do you know what benign language is? Benign language is when you say like, yeah, so I guess 6 million Jews died in World War II. No, actually 6 million Jews were exterminated by the German government or the Nazis. So you name the act, and you use the proper terminology, and you name the perpetrator. So here, we had, and still have, genocide perpetrated on us by the United States, the church, and its Euro-American citizenry. So those are the things to think about. And also, our land. So we don't really say our land. So I have a question for you. Can you own your mother? Does anybody here own their mother? Show of hands, come on. It's a silly question, right? That's how we view the earth. Everything that we need. And actually, we have many relatives that role model for us. The way, so we come here to love one another, take care of one another, and help each other. Unconditionally. Doesn't matter if you have a 401k or certain health care or whatever, or if you're Republican or Packers fan, or Ojibwe. Doesn't matter if you're a deer, a blade of grass, or water. So a really good role model for how you're supposed to conduct yourself is the sun. The sun is a relative. The sun is part of our fellow creation. The sun comes up every day and gives us love, warmth, and takes care of us. every single day. That's how that's how Dakota ekta hechid That's how we are supposed to conduct ourselves from Dakota perspective. And I don't think that's just a Dakota philosophy. I hope it's not. So, but just in one last thing, when Washichu, Euro-Americans, first came here, when they were trying to steal the land from us, because that's what they did. Expropriation, you can use all these terms, but they did what they wanted to, and they stole it, and it still remains stolen. And when they did that, first off, they said, who owns this land? And we had no idea what they were talking about. And so that's one thing that's documented. They had to talk to these tribes and actually get the tribes to figure out ownership. And then some tribes, when they found out, they thought it was funny. Wait. You own the water? You own the squirrels? You own the rocks? Who are you? Right? Who are you to think? And in 2019, that's still a valid question. Who are you to think that you can own the water? Who are you to think that you can own the air? Who are you to think that you can own your mother? All right? So, the documents.
Grace, would you like to go next?
Excuse me, I have
You have to go. Thank you, Mohammed. Yeah.
It's true, kind of dread to this day. But I'll say, and which I found out about 5 years ago, that I have a tribal name. My mom and dad died of TB, and my cousin, one of my cousins sent me, my brother and cousin to a boarding school. And this is what we have to live through. But who am I? Where did I come from? What can I do? I've always wanted to be a person all my life. And about how many years ago did I start talking? 3 years. It was, I asked Alicia one day because she was going to University of Duluth. And I said, can I come with you? No. I said, you know, it's bad driving going up there. And plus, I'm nice, I'm your mom. And I would ask, and one day she said yes. And I thought, fine, you can come. So I went with her. And that was when I went to classes with her. She was, you were leadership training?
Tribal administration and governance.
Okay. She's good. Matter of fact, she's my number 3 child. Oh yeah, I'm Grace R.T. Andrea. I'm UPIC. I'm from Pitcairn Point, Alaska. I got 7 kids. She's number 3. I got 11 grandchildren. And it is because of going to school with her to Duluth. That was when memories started coming. Her professors talk about the boarding school. And every time they start talking, I would up and leave. I didn't want those memories to come back. I would go out and start praying and praying. And matter of fact, Alicia gave me tobacco to pray and give me strength. And 1 year at the state training, the person that was supposed to talk on boarding school couldn't make it. And Alicia said, my mom came from boarding school. And so dealing with emotions of listening to her professors talking about boarding school, I go, okay, maybe you'll be on. And so I tried it, but every time the word boarding school comes out, up and leave. And plus, I'm a smoker. I would go off and walk around and smoke. And I would start praying. I said, why? I don't want to remember. Then I learned how to pray the Native American way. Grandfather, Great Spirit, all my relatives, Mom, Dad, and Big Brother Matt. Why are these memories coming back? How can I handle it? And I said, I'm angry. But, like Alicia said, Mom, you're going through healing. And so it's been three or 4 years since I've been going through Alicia's school and been giving a talk on boarding school, and a lot of anger and a lot of yelling at God and said, why? What have I done to you? What have my brother and cousin done to you? The nuns would call us barbarian and savages. And I didn't understand that. And thinking back as the memories come back, I go, I want to remember. It hurts. It hurts really bad, but I don't want to cry. Because once you start crying, the nuns will beat you and will say, I'll give you something to cry about. So you learn how not to cry. And Alicia's right there by me. Mom, you're going through healing. But she was right. Look at her smile. She's my daughter, number 3. And then she, helped me with this, to have tobacco on my left hand because my heart is on the left hand. And it helped. And the last talk that I gave at the government, say it again, Alicia?
Tribal state relations training.
Mm-hmm. They said, her story's too painful. We don't want to listen to it. And then I'm thinking, they don't want to hear it? I'm the one that's going through the problem. I'm the one that has to talk and let them know, as a little kid, not knowing anything, had to go somewhere, because that's the first time I've ever seen white people, was at, I could say, the boarding school name now, Holy Cross, Alaska. And I called that the hell place. And I thought, I can do it. And she's my protector, although she's my daughter. She's my helper. She's my editor. She's my counselor. She's my agent. And she has taught me, besides going through classes, because it was healing but angry. And it was through the classes that I went through a lot of healing. And I go, why? Why, God, what have I done to you? I was glad that my brother got TB and was sent to the hospital, so he didn't have to go through what our cousin went through. But through all this, I have gotten stronger. I have been able to, although I'm jumping here and jumping there, and like the kids say, squirrel. I have gotten more stronger. I do get angry when the memories come back. Last year in August, I couldn't figure out what was the matter. I was very uneasy, very unsettled, and couldn't figure out. I was angry. I said, I'm glad my kids are at work. Walk around outside and start praying, and pray the way Native Americans pray. That gives me calmness. At least I know what I'm praying for. At least I know I felt that the grandfathers and the ancestors and mom and dad can hear me. So I thought, what's going on? And one day, it hit me, and this was in August. What I have been sharing at the meetings is real. And I couldn't face the reality because some pain came back. It was real. I had to pray and not get over it, keep praying and learn and deal with it. And this way I can deal with my life, I can deal with my personality. Same thing, I am proud of who I am, what I stand for, because she came home one day and said, Mom, tell me what you said.
We have a tribal name.
And I go, what? We do?
Yes, it's you pick.
And the shame, the embarrassment, I didn't want to accept it. And I said, how can they name us Yupik? That's a crazy name. It was about 3 or 4 months. And then I realized all my life I've been wanting to be a person. But what is a person? I've been looking to see how I can live, how I can share with my kids. Mainly, how can I share and realize reality? And then one day, what I've been sharing at the meetings was real. And I said, did I really live through that? And so, why, God? Why did I have to live through it? What kind of a punishment am I getting for being not white, for being a little kid, not understanding because my mom and dad are dead? And my brother got TB and was sent to the hospital. And I was so glad that he was sent to the hospital because he didn't have to go through what our cousin went through. But as each time I talk, each time I look, and each time I look at life different and how everything goes. Yes, it's real, but I've been set free. I can talk about it. I can have fun and not realize what's going to come up next because I got the strength to look at it and deal with it and realize it's not my fault. It's something that was done to me. And I go, okay, how, all those you know, will instruct me. And then one day when I found out about my tribal name, and that was the day I found out I was a person that I've been searching for all my life. And I go, wow. And I was proud to say, very proud, I am Grace T. Andrea Smith. I'm Yupik, and I'm from Pittsburgh Point, Alaska, and nobody will ever shame me again of who I stand for and what I am.
Well, usually I don't want to speak after great speakers, but
I'm funny too.
First of all, I would like to thank you all for organizing this event. Neighborhood organizations seem taken as granted sometimes. They seem like they have no power to higher offices, but really this is where change begins. And I want to thank Chelsea for inviting me to this event, and thank you for putting this together. A little bit about myself. My name is Bonsa, and I was born in Ethiopia. At age 8, I fled to Uganda via Kenya due to the political instability in country. And since then, I have never lived under the same roof with both my parents. So it's a long story, but I'll just cut it short. 8 years plus I spent in refugee camp, just like Mohammed. I was in Kenya, I was in Uganda. And every day is just a new day, and with hope, patience, and plan, thinking and dreaming about being in this land. This is, I know, even though I've never been here, I know it's a land of opportunity. If you want to change yourself, this is where you can do it. And I was hoping and planning and dreaming about being here. And I've been here now 5 years, just like Mohammed was saying earlier. And now I go to Oxford University and junior and studying environmental studies and urban studies as well. When it comes to land, before land, I will talk about a little bit about Oromo people. Who are Oromo, who is Oromo, and how many of you know of Oromo people? Oromo are the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. They make about 40% of the total population, which is about 100 million estimated now. And this tribe has been marginalized for a long time, over a century, regime after regime, being displaced from their land in the name of suburbanization or foreign investment. As recent as 2016, it's going on, and that's what really sparked a large protest, and people have to change. The regime had, for the first time, had to resign willingly, even though it was not, but there's a force behind. So when it comes to land, land is not only asset, as you see, it is, I would say, it's beyond that. It's your identity. It's who you are. And if you have no land, you have no any strength. And just like Native Americans say, land has no owner, that's how Oromo people view land as well. Not one person owning land. It belongs to it's for community, it's for the communal use. not one person dividing the land up and use it for personal interest and be sold foreign investment or while the native people are suffering. So this was going on, and it's still going on today, just like it's going on here. As I said, it's not only like a vital asset, it is also the enjoyment to several human rights, including your livelihoods. That's where you grow your farming. Many Oromo people are farmers, and they are not commercial farmers, so they are local farmers using local tools, not even tractor. They use oxen to plow the land. Even though with climate change today, there are not a lot of animals even sort of left to carry out this farming practice, which is a little behind, but that's how they have survived for centuries. So with modern technology and foreign investment, in the name of foreign investment, and, they say Ethiopia is one of the most economically developing countries in Africa. That's how the outsiders see it, but really what's happening inside is that those who live in there, will be able to see and be able to tell. And really, when it comes to land rights and human rights, we think there's a lot of similarity between the native people and the local African, or the Oromo in this case. Is there reparation today for whatever happened centuries ago in Ethiopia, even today in the capital Addis? That's where a lot of stuff happening in the name of suburbanization, pushing all the local farmers away from the city, because what they call it, master plan. In the name of master plan, destroying all the local people without a single compensation, or just a month for a monthly living compensation, which is nothing at all. There's no any compensation made for this. And do we want compensation? Technically no, because it's going to end anyways. Land is there from generation to generation. It's what you call it home, right? It passed from one generation to the next, and I think it's happening today, and it happened, and it will continue to happen if local people don't take action, just like here, organizing and talking about it. Talking like this is part of taking action, even though it may be hard today to actually get that land back. I mean, there's a lot of change happening on it, so, but let the history know. Earlier, Bruce talked about boarding school, where native kids were put in boarding school to change their way of life. That happened back in Ethiopia as well. There was a time where just even if you say that you are Oromo, you are persecuted for that. You are supposed to hide who you are. Oromo language was banned. You're not supposed to speak that language, even though Oromo people played a key role in every aspect of Ethiopia. Every war they fought, it was won because of Oromo people, but they were denied any right. And it is even crime to be Oromo. It was just over 50 years that was Oromo was considered as people of Ethiopia as well, and they have right to their language and their culture. We both have this issue of stereotypes, as the professor earlier mentioned. There is this stereotype, and it has to change, as he put it. Yeah. Both like immigrants and the natives are seen as lazy people. They don't want to work. Government assistance. This somehow has to change as well. This has to change. Yeah, and we both kind of struggle to keep our culture alive when we are away. And we see ourselves as somehow as a minority, but in a larger wider population. And by undermining if we undermine ourselves here, if we don't fight for who we are, there's not going to be change. Change starts with ourselves here. Recently, I had a presentation at Augsburg, and I was presenting on who is more concerned about environment. That was my topic. And I took the survey from online and an article, scholarly article, and I didn't show the result to class. I wanted to see if the result I got online here matches the result I'm going to have in class. And I showed, I took the survey in class, who's more concerned about environment. I had 11 categories: the Latinos, the natives, and whites, rich, poor, female, male, religious group, all about 11 categories. If I take that today, if I take it in this room, it may be a similar result today. So what most of my classmates responded is that the young people are more concerned about environment. That's what most of them say. But the survey online said actually that colored people are more concerned about environment, followed by the poor. And the perception is that white are more concerned. The reason is that they have more, their work, they are more educated, they know about environment. That's what the perception. If the colored people or the native people undermine that they're actually more concerned about environment or about certain issue, it's going to continue going like that. We have to speak for ourselves and talk to ourselves. We don't have to wait for others to speak, I guess. And I don't think I have a lot to say, so thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? My English name is Kevin Smokey. I'm Plains of Ojibwe. I guess I'm a part Creek. It made me think about that when I said it's crazy. You know, that's the first time anyone ever mentioned that, and I thought about it, and yeah. But my grandparents raised me from childhood. My grandparents took me from my mom. It was the custom sometimes that the elders of my people will take a grandchild and raise them in the customs of the Ojibwe, teachings of the medicine way, the hunting skills my grandpa taught me. You know, all that went away when I went to boarding school. I went to boarding school in '76. I was part of that cycle of genocide. I went to boarding school not speaking any English, and it was hard. I've been still working on myself, trying to get better. But, you know, every day is a struggle. I still have feelings about, you know, what happened to me and stuff. I took this language epigenetics course one time in trauma. And you carry that trauma in your DNA, and you pass that on to your children, your grandchildren. And I thought, you know, you gotta stop that somehow. I didn't realize how important the language was until, because I was a truck driver, construction worker. You know, I'd done all kinds of different work. And one day I went to my grandson Brandon had a award ceremony at Bedote, and Navik was the interim director there, Adrian Liberty, and he was saying a prayer in Ojibwe, and something inside me woke up. It felt good to hear the language. So I went after him, and I was walking out the door to go to the offering, and I was yapping away at him in Ojibwe, and he was looking at me like, who are you, you know? Because I mean, I could still speak when I heard that. When I heard not talking it, I felt good to hear it, and I started speaking it to him. And then from there he invited me to come to the school and do some work with the kids, and working there for a while. I passed on some teaching because every time a child would come to me, I ended up turning into a grandpa and a social worker and everything else. You know, I see these kids under chairs, under desks, and I go sit with them and talk, and then it came to be that they come to my room and we talk with the Eagle Feather. And sometimes I get a child come to me and have an issue or a problem, and my grandfather would, you know, I'd be talking to him like my grandfather taught me. I'd be giving him those teachings. And it always came at a time, and I remember, and I wouldn't always remember what my grandpa taught me, but you know, when a child comes to you and explains the problem, something, you know, clicks, and you remember. And so I pass on those teachings my grandfather taught me to the kid, you know, that I was talking with. And always something came up that would ring a bell, an idea or a memory to come back. And I would pass on that teaching to the youngster. So I tell him, you know what my grandfather told me? And I tell him. And I said, someday you're going to tell your grandson the same thing. Because that's how it goes. It goes on and on and on and on. So that's part of my the breaking that cycle of trauma was forgiving myself to the language and the culture of my people. I try my best. I'm not saying that I'm really good at what I do. I'm not, because I'm learning myself. And I think I'm doing not too bad now. I'm working at another job with youngsters. My granddaughter's 2 years old, and I speak to her in Ojibwe all the time. So she understands everything I tell her. She hasn't spoken too much yet, but she understands when I tell her something. And I think that's part of my healing journey too, is to pass that teachings on to my grandfather, my grandmother, to my grandkids. Because when I first moved here 12 years ago, I didn't have what I have now. You know, I just came here as a truck driver, looking for work. You know, and first time I saw that lake up in Duluth, I thought, man, I'm home. You know, because it made me feel like I belonged to something. Because I remember this land here was Dakota Ojibwe land. My ancestors spoke both languages, Dakota and Ojibwe. You know, they intermarried and had professor. Now I'm thankful to be sitting here beside him with the other panelists too, because I mean that's how we heal. We have to have humor and teachings. And the part of treaties, the stuff I know is that my forefathers tried to make a good deal for their children. You know, they wanted to have the medicine chest, which is a hospital. They wanted to learn the cunning of the white man, which is education. You know, and in Canada, where I'm from, we still live by those trees. You know, because at the end of the treaty, it says, as long as the sun shines, the grass grows. That's how long these trees are supposed to last. So we make them hold to that treaty, you know, and we make them understand that we live by this. We should be the richest people here in this country, you know, but instead we're the poorest and the most people in jail, because we got that institutionalized from the presidential school. A lot of my friends have passed on now, and a lot of them died from violent deaths and alcoholism, drugs, everything like that. And now there's a new epidemic coming, and it's meth. Meth is destroying our people, our children. I think the treaties matter because they have to understand that this land that we share with their cousins, you know, they have to look at us and say, you guys need some help. You gotta help each other. That's what we are. We gave up a lot to help our cousins people to live here. We taught them how to live here. You know, now they have to help us heal our people. Instead of the pain and suffering that we felt from when I was in school, we have to heal. And I think there's no voice anymore. I was looking at YouTube the other day, and I saw Russell Means speaking at a congressional hearing. And I thought, wow, I think I can speak. You know, maybe you should speak, but we pass on now. So who of our children is going to be the next voice of our people? You know, we have to find them. We have to plant that seed and nurture it, and make it grow. You know, and that's part of the healing is our language. Language is it's a healing. Our language is healing. It's a living spirit. You have to honor that spirit. And that's why I try and tell my grandsons, you know, they're taking Dakota at Berote, but I teach them Ojibwe at home. So they have a code talk. They talk Dakota and Ojibwe and mix it up. So they understand, you know. You know, that's pretty cool. You guys are code talkers. But, you know, they've taught me a lot. When I first came here, like I said, I didn't have a family. I had a friend that lived here, and I started looking for work. I drove a truck, I owned my own company. And after I heard that, you know, award ceremony, I heard that language, now they, you know, told me to come and work. And ever since then, I found my true purpose, I think, through the language, you know, because I was so rusty at talking at Navik, but, and I still am kind of, but the more I speak it, the better I feel all the time, you know. So, I think that's part of the healing process of our people is to get the language back, customs and traditions and the teachings, because, you know, like I said, Russell Means was able to speak so eloquently. And I think one of these children that we have, that we heal with the language, is going to be the next speaker for our people. I truly believe that, because a lot of these children are gifted. You know, I've seen children in school that come, they say they have problems. You know, this child has a problem. There's something wrong, you know. There ain't nothing wrong. He's just got a gift that he doesn't understand. You know, you got to help them find their gifts. And I'm a big advocate for language and healing for children. I work at Richoy, and I'm a co-director there with my friend Deanna Stancloud. She's really awesome. We do some really good work too, but you know, we're doing the best we can to get that program going and promote the language. And I think being here with the panelists and sitting here talking about this is part of that. We have a school at Butler that's called Four Directions. And they teach immersion there, nothing but Dakota and Ojibwe. And that's where you got to get them when they're young. You got to plant that seed, the seed of language, and then you watch it grow. But language can't be learned at the school. You can learn the basics, but the language is at home. At home, you got to practice the language all the time. And I think that doing all this and understanding the treaties and how we came to be where we are, I was downstairs looking at that treaty, all the billboard and stuff down there, and I thought, wow, look at these, Brandon. I was showing him pictures, and he was looking at our forefathers that planned for this, you know, our children's children. So that's what I think when I talk about the language and the culture and the teachings. It's not about what I can do or what can be done. It's what we can do for our children and their children, and that's where we gotta think ahead that way. Ownership of land is not something that we know. It's something that we share with our people. People share because there's no understanding of ownership. It is our mother, and that's another thing too. We heal our mother, we heal ourselves, and I think that's about it.
So it's really been wonderful to hear these stories today, and to see how much we still have to learn from each other, and insights about language, culture, healing, names, and thinking about the land. So in that spirit, if anyone would like to share a story or ask a question, we can take a few minutes for that. Oh, Ova, can I ask you to... Yes, this is my new friend we just met an hour ago. Ova, would you say a little bit about your project and what's going to happen? Come up here, please. Yeah, this is what happened.
This is what happened?
Yes.
Hi. Boy, there's so many things to say. So Sabaidi, which is Lao. So let me just give a little quick. I'll just come up here. Why not? So, hi everybody. My name is Ova Salpang. I'm originally from Laos, and then my family. I'm a refugee. And then we ended up in Hawaii. So aloha, everybody. And then from Hawaii, I'm currently based in Los Angeles, and I'm a theater artist with a company called Theater Productions. And we, the reason why I'm here in Minnesota, you're like wondering, why is this guy here in Minnesota? So I'm currently, we will be bringing a show called Masters of the Currents here to Minneapolis, and it'll be at the Mixed Blood Theater Company in May for a weekend. And we work a lot with various different communities, and this play that we're exploring, that we're going to share, is about the Micronesian community, are from Oceania, from that region, and everyone here has said, it just resonates in terms of just land, water, treaties, broken promises, and so that's kind of what the play explores, and. And we have flyers and stuff here for you, to share. But yeah, it's just amazing to hear these voices. And the story that I think of is, from having worked with the Micronesian community, there is just this challenge of how does one, there's a word that how does one continue one's traditions and practices at the same time as progress. There's always a push and pull of like, how does one preserve oneself when one is in another place or has been pushed away and has to live in another place? How do you struggle and deal with that? And so all these factors definitely are so many intersections as people, as this just diverse community that we are. So that's what resonates with me. All your stories here definitely are layers and layers of one of the great things about from the play is about how it's knowing where you are right now. And how do you know that? By looking out into, and for the Micronesian community, they are known for ocean navigation, wayfinding, looking at the stars, and so looking at the ocean and seeing the land, reading the waves. Again, masters. They are masters of the currents, and yet in being masters of the currents, how does one then deal with masters of the currents in terms of the currency, right, of what that means here in this country. And similarly, their lands, and actually their whole territory, has been, the agreement was, it's called the COFA agreement, which is an agreement that their nations had with the U.S. government. The U.S. government had all these control over the seas, the skies, and what has that benefited their community? And sadly, it has not. And so that's part of the story that we're trying to share. So that's just a lot of all these layers. So I look forward to seeing some of you there at the play, and but also to honor the people who are here to speak. And I mean, if there's anything that resonates for you from today, please, share, speak up. That's why we're here gathered today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, we will have flyers here, and just so honored that they made time in this preliminary visit to come by, and their timing was perfect, which is what often happens here. Would anyone like to ask a question or add anything?
Does it have to be on topic?
No.
Yes, I mean, more or less. I mean, it's a big topic.
Right, right. So I do have I'm a water predictor here in Minnesota, and I would like to ask you so Canadians have insisted that there be no pipelines. The Canadian oil company, Enbridge, isn't able to put pipeline through Canada like they're planning on doing in Minnesota. Is that actually because Canada honors the treaties?
I think a lot of it has
Does
to do
that
with
help?
no. Canada is like the U.S. here. They've broken treaties all the time. But that land that's in British Columbia that Enbridge is trying to go through, it's unceded territory, and it belongs to I can't remember which band that is, but they're not letting it happen. So I think they're having and it's really quiet right now because nobody wants to cover that topic, but they're still fighting up there for that, to block that pipeline.
So I'll just ask one more question about that. So are you saying that they're not starting to build up there?
I don't think they're gonna. I don't know, but the Prime Minister's been trying to promise them this, promise them that. They're trying to buy them out, but
Right.
I don't see it happening. I don't know.
Thank you.
Because there's some existing pipeline already. I don't know what they're trying to do.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, please.
He mentioned that we don't have any of the facts, we mostly have all the myths. How are we moving forward so that we're going to get those facts? I spend a lot of time out in the community in different groups and different political groups. Really, no one ever talks to me about facts. I suppose, are you thinking just the young children? Is this politics going to help with the Lieutenant Governor Flanagan in office and different people? How are we going to do this? You say it talking to the choir here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it starts with education, right? So it starts up here. But in the classes that I've taught and talking with other teachers, I mean, it would be really easy to say it really should be in K through 12. That's where it should be. That would help take care of a good piece of it. But even in K through 12, you still have a bunch of misinformation. You have stereotypes. In fact, during the, I have to be careful not to say Sasquatch centennial, the sesquicentennial of the Dakota-U.S. War of 1862, there was a woman, a teacher, that went on record during that time, and you can hear her teaching her class, and she's saying, Dakota Indians didn't know how to, I have to ask my wife, what was the?
How to resolve their conflicts.
How to resolve conflict.
Yeah,
I
how
heard
to
that
resolve
on
their
NPR.
conflicts. Yeah, without fighting.
Yeah, they didn't know that we use our words.
Right.
Yeah. Dakota, so this is a teacher, was it 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
3rd grade.
Mankato, Monroe
Yeah,
School.
Mankato,
I
yeah.
heard it too.
Yeah, so, and she was telling her students, and it's on the radio, right? Saying that Dakota Indians didn't know how to resolve their conflicts. So the only way they could do that was to fight. That's how they didn't know how to resolve conflict, they only knew how to fight. And that's not true. We were and still are great diplomats.
Right.
Because we perceive that other person as a relative. They are not below or above us. They're a relative. And naku Dakota ekta kunkashida kawachin sudaya hawasana ukupido. The great unknown gave each and every one of us a powerful mind. So that's how we're going to perceive that other person. So we talk things over. It's, we work out, we extend our hand, we extend our heart. And we don't just go right into fight mode. Like the Scottish. That's a joke. That's a joke. My last name's McKay, so. Yeah, so, I mean, it's one thing so change, it takes time, right? That's the variable. And I have noticed in my history course, so I get about 100 students every fall and spring in this history course called Indians in Minnesota, so it's an intro course. And the number of students that know more about indigenous people, so in about almost 20 years I've been teaching it, it's gone up a little. So I'm the perpetual optimist. So I see that as good. But the very sad part is, why do we have to go remedial with them at the college level? And you know, this is a fact. So to talk about the wonderful things of society of human beings, we also have to talk about the dark things. And settler society here, so like right now I'm speaking the foreign language. When I speak Dakota, I am not. So I'm speaking the foreign language and saying this, but the kids, they need to know these things, and you can start them off even before kindergarten. You can have critical discussions with them. And I'll tell you, you know, even people say, but you can't talk about genocide and ethnic cleansing and all those things with little kids. Actually, I don't really like saying that actually, but in Europe, they have found a way to talk about the Holocaust with very young children. And I can never remember if it's through comic books or coloring books. But these are like what would be equivalent to like first or second graders. Yeah. So.
Question. So my daughter had wanted a history book, and my husband and I found one by Howard Zinn, where it presents things from the absent narrative, and it's been very good. It was, as she reads it, she's a sensitive kid anyways, so she's reading the stories, which are hard, but she's wanting more. And so are there certain resources that you would recommend for grade school, you know, kiddos?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I would also, I just want to recommend this too. When the sesquicentennial of the 1862 war came up, there were, I'm being serious here, there were a bunch of Euro-Americans that were concerned that the Dakotas were going to get to tell too much of their side. And we said, you've had 150 years. I think you could yield the floor for a little bit. And so, as long as you're telling the truth, and as long as you are making sure that if it's perspective, that it's perspective, but the truth needs to be told, the facts need to be out there. And also the perspective. So like one perspective, when we see the land, we see our mother. And when Euro-Americans first got here, they saw dollar signs. Those trees that they chopped down, those are relatives. They're not something that you profit off of. And even humans now are something that you profit off of. The water is something that you profit off of. But that's life. So, but you know, I mean, sharing lessons, philosophies, things like that. But yeah, after this, can we put resources up on the website or something?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just say there's a couple of books. There's one called Minnesota Makoche. There's that one. There's Indian Boyhood by Oshiesa, Charles Alexander Eastman. There's Land of the Spotted Eagle by Luther Standing Bear. those are a few examples that you can
So
use
you'll
with
put
children.
those, you'll give those to
Yeah.
Peter and put them on the website?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm so happy that these last questions have been about education, because that is going to be the focus of the next and last event here on Sunday afternoon, the 28th. And I'm only now learning through the conversations around creating this project that what the Indian Education Act is. I was ignorant of it, and what it has accomplished and what it has not yet accomplished, but how it could be expanded. So it's sort of interesting. I think, you know, an issue near and dear to my heart is, let's have Medicare for all as a way to create single-payer health care. Let's have Indian education for all.
How about some civics?
So, you know, so that preschool kids and young kids begin to get the truth, as people have been saying today. It's available. It could be taught. So we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. Tim?
I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what you were saying about becoming healthy, right? And I think that a lot of settler society doesn't want to touch this because it's hot, because it's painful, so they turn their back. There's nothing they can do. That kind of sensibility. But I think we live in such a sick society. You know, we've been militaristic. I think we project this idea of you know, militarism on other cultures like Native peoples. You know, it's our projecting ourselves on that. And I think that one of the ways to begin a conversation about education is about healing and about how settler society has to heal. You know, that we have to get out of this sick cycles that we're in and what we support. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to talk about what's happened and what we're a part of and what we continue to be a part of.
Can I say something?
Please. Yes, Grace. Please.
There's no such word it can't be. And it's up to individual and have a vision. The thing is, and the most important thing is the school board. That's where it has to start. You have to be involved with the school board. That's how we got Indian education on Earl and 3. It was hard. A lot of fighting and a lot of bickering. And another thing too is get the family involved. That's what's not happening now. Is families are not involved. And not only that, you have to have a vision to see your kids get into higher education. I raised 7 kids by myself and got them all graduated. And out of 7, I think 3 of them went to college. You have to keep pushing and don't think, I can't do it, this can't be done. You can do it. You have to believe in yourself, and the hard part is we were fighting against really hard trying to start Indian education. We're still fighting. And we still have problems when, I'm going to speak as it is, all white neighborhood. Alicia and I were in a play, and I can see the atmosphere. Where was the place again? Cambridge. Yeah. And they seen what nationality we were. We weren't quite welcome, but didn't care. We had to show them. And the thing is, and which I have been since my kids were born, fight for their education, you got to keep fighting. And say, oh, this is stopping me. Of course, that's a block road. You find another way. Keep going. Don't give up. I didn't. So if I can have all my 7 kids graduate from high school, being a single mom, everybody can do it. But you have to keep fighting. And that's where the families are right now. Oh, let so-and-so do it. No, you do it. Have a vision. Keep moving. There are people that are willing, that want to have, different language in school. The parents got to be involved, most of all. And which surprised me, no more kids are not playing any more sports. I was shocked. The day that my youngest one graduated from high school, I had sport withdrawal. Because I couldn't go to school and watch my kids play until my grandchildren started playing. And it's through sports that the kids can learn and are able to follow time and listen. I got 2 sons that are coaches, and they get compliments because they have to follow the rules. You have to do this. And one of the grandparents said to his younger brother, the grandmother comes up, whatever you're doing with my son, keep it up. And then when he told me, I just go, Doc, teach your kids. Teach them what's right and wrong. My youngest granddaughter is playing hockey. She learned how to skate at 4. She's 7. You got to be involved with your kids. And when you're involved with your kids, it's the community, togetherness, and you're able to work together. We as Native Americans, we have to fight hard. So we can fight for school for our kids, for sports, everything. But as you get involved with the school, you are a big community. Doesn't care what nationality or anything is. Get involved with the family and the kids and volunteer. My God, I don't know how I made it to volunteer with 7 kids. But it works. I'm still living. Thank you.
Just briefly,
Please,
I want to just recommend a book that I read when I first got here. With a limited English, I was able to digest, process, and apply the message about Native Americans. The book is called Education of Little Tree, and it's written from a perspective of 7-year-old. And it's really a good book for especially young ones, for your little kid, little daughter. She will enjoy it.
Thank you.
So we're gonna wrap up. There are, I suspect, still cookies back there. Please finish the cookies and tea, and continue to talk with each other. Can we show some love to the people? Thank you all for coming in on what is yet another start of spring in Minnesota. Who knows, one of these will actually stick. And if you didn't sign the guest book, please do, so that we can stay in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you.